Have you ever turned off the light to tell that horror story that everyone knows? The one about the hook man on Valentine's Day? Or the boogeyman that hides under the bed? We feel that shiver down our spine, our heart races ... But deep down, we calm down thinking, phew, it's just a story. But what if it isn't? What if I told you that behind some of the world's most famous legends, there are police reports, dusty police files, and real crimes that are even more bizarre and terrifying than the fiction they inspired? Today, we're going to do what we never should. We're going to dig deep. We're going to pull back the curtain of folklore and face the dark truth that started it all. From the real-life hookman attacks to the crazy man dressed as a rabbit who terrorized a town with an axe. Today, we're going to do what we never should. We're going to dig deep. We're going to pull back the curtain of folklore and face the dark truth that started it all. From the real-life hookman attacks to the crazy man dressed as a rabbit who terrorized a town with an axe. So lock the doors and turn off the lights, because after this video, I guarantee ... you'll never hear these stories the same way again. You know those stories that everyone swears happened to a neighbor's cousin's friend? Well, that's called an urban legend. They're like fairy tales from the big city, except instead of princesses and dragons, we have maniacs, monsters, and really weird situations. The fun of these stories is that they seem so real. They don't happen in a castle far, far away, but rather on the back street, in the shopping mall you go to, in the neighboring city, and that's what gives you that chill down your spine. But what if I told you that some of the most famous legends in the United States, the ones that have even been turned into Hollywood movies, aren't 100% made up? Many of them were born from a tiny grain of truth, a really bizarre and, sometimes, super scary grain. It's like a cordless phone that lasted for decades. A real event happened, someone told it in a more exciting way, someone else added a detail here, someone else took out a part there, and boom, a legend was born that spans generations. Are you ready to dive deep and discover the truth behind the whispers? Then let's unravel these mysteries together. The Hookman, the terror on Valentine's Lane. Imagine the scene. It's a warm night in the 1950s. A stylish car with leather seats is parked on top of a hill, with the city lights shining down below. It's Lover's Lane, the perfect place for a romantic and secret rendezvous. Inside the car, a teenage couple, Mark and Jenny, are listening to music softly on the radio. Suddenly, the music stops. A serious-voiced announcer interrupts the program. We interrupt this program for an urgent bulletin. An extremely dangerous patient has escaped from the state sanitarium. He is identified by having a sharp metal hook in place of his right hand. We repeat, be careful. Jenny turns pale. Mark, I want to leave now, she says, hugging her arms. Mark tries to calm her down. Calm down, Jenny. This must be miles from here. But she insists, her eyes wide with terror. Angry at having his date ruined, Mark starts the car angrily, the tires screeching on the asphalt, and speeds back toward town. He stops in front of her house, still sulking. The night ends in awkward silence. When Jenny leaves, Mark waits for her to get in, and before he leaves, he hears a strange noise. A clink, 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 coming from the side of the car. He gets out to see what it is, and there, hanging from the passenger door handle, scratching the paint, is a metal hook, gleaming in the moonlight. It was there, all along. This legend became the terror of car dates for a very real reason. Travel with me to the town of Texarkana, on the Texas-Arkansas border, in 1946. For 10 terrifying weeks, a mysterious killer, whom the press dubbed the Phantom Killer, plunged the town into panic. His method was exactly as the legend describes. He attacked young couples in secluded locations, the lovers' lanes of the day. The Phantom attacked 8 people and killed 5. He used a pistol, but the fear was not in the gun, but in the fact that he was a shadow, a nobody, who appeared in the darkness and turned a romantic moment into everyone's worst nightmare. The town became obsessed. People boarded up their windows, bought guns, and eyed every stranger with suspicion. The police never caught the phantom killer. He simply disappeared. The Hookman legend exploded in popularity in the 1950s. It took a real Texarkana fear of being attacked in a vulnerable place. The fear of the stranger in the dark hand gave it an iconic, terrifying symbol. The hook. The story became a cautionary tale passed down from father to son. Be a good boy, a good girl. Don't go into dark, lonely places, or the Hookman might get you. Bunnyman, the weird thing that really happened. In Fairfax County, Virginia, if you ask any teenager about the Bunnyman Bridge, they'll look at you with a mix of fear and excitement. Legend has it that in the 1970s, a bus carrying patients from a mental hospital crashed near the bridge. One of the patients, a man named Douglas Griffin, escaped. He was dangerous, and after months of hiding in the woods, the police found only eaten rabbit carcasses hanging from the bridge. Legend has it that ever since, his spirit, dressed in a rabbit skin, haunts the area, carrying an axe and attacking anyone who dares approach his bridge on Halloween night. Now, forget the bus accident and the ghost. The truth, documented in police files, is even more bizarre. In October 1970, there were two real incidents that started it all. The first was on October 19th. An Air Force cadet, Robert Bennett, and his fiancée were in their car, parked on a street near his uncle's house. Out of nowhere, a figure appeared in the darkness. It was a man wearing a white and gray rabbit suit. He yelled something like, "You are on private property, and I have your license plate number." And then, to the couple's shock, he threw a hand axe at the windshield of the car, shattering the glass. Luckily, they sped off and escaped. 10 days later, the rabbit man struck again. A private security guard named Paul Phillips encountered a man, also in a rabbit suit, in a house under construction. The man stood on the front porch, brandishing a long-handled axe and shouting, "All of you trespassers, get out of here now." He took about 8 swings at a wooden pillar before fleeing into the woods when the police arrived. No one ever figured out who the costumed lunatic was. Was it a prank? A mentally ill person? A bizarre protest? No one knows. But these two very strange and well-documented real events were the perfect fuel for the story. The story was retold. The mental hospital and the bus crash were added for extra spice. And the enduring legend of the Bunnyman was born, one of the most fascinating cases of how a bizarre event can become folklore. Cropsey, the monster of the abandoned hospital. In Staten Island, New York, every child grew up hearing the same warning: don't go near Willowbrook. Willowbrook was a former school for disabled children, a huge dark place that had been abandoned. Legend had it that a mad patient, a boogeyman named Cropsey, had escaped when the facility closed. He was said to have hidden in the network of service tunnels that ran beneath the hospital and the surrounding woods. And at night, he would emerge from the manholes, axe or hook in hand, to kidnap disobedient children who ventured in. This is perhaps the most direct and tragic connection between legend and reality. Willowbrook State School was a real place, and it was a living hell. In 1972, a young reporter named Geraldo Rivera exposed the horrific conditions there: overcrowding, abuse, lack of hygiene. It was a nightmare. The revelation shocked the country and eventually led to the institution's closure in 1987. The site became a college campus, but the surrounding woods and a few abandoned buildings remained, fueling the legend. And that's when the legend became reality. A man named Andre Rand, who had worked as a janitor at Willowbrook, was a notorious criminal in the area. After Willowbrook closed, a series of children began to mysteriously disappear in the area. The investigation revealed that Rand lived in makeshift camps in the same woods that surrounded the old hospital, and knew the network of tunnels like the back of his hand. In 1987, A 12-year-old girl, Jennifer Schweiger, disappeared. Her body was found in a shallow grave in the Willowbrook Woods. Andre Rand was the prime suspect and was eventually convicted of kidnapping her and another child. Police believe he is responsible for many other disappearances. He was, quite literally, a monster who lived in the woods of the abandoned hospital and kidnapped children. The legend of Cropsey was no longer a scare story. It was the nickname of a real-life predator. Alligators in the sewer, the myth that has a bit of truth. It's a classic image. A New York sewer worker is walking through a dark, damp tunnel when suddenly his headlights illuminate a pair of glowing eyes. He approaches and sees a huge, blind, white creature with sharp teeth, an albino alligator, born and raised in the pitch-black darkness of the sewers. The story goes that in the 1930s and 1940s, wealthy families would buy baby alligators as pets while on vacation in Florida. When the animals began to grow and cause trouble, the solution was simple and cruel. They flushed them down the toilet. In the sewers, the alligators would survive, reproduce, and create a colony of monsters. Okay, the part about the colony of giant albino alligators is pure fiction. The conditions in New York's sewers, the cold water, the lack of sunlight and adequate food, would make it impossible for an alligator population to thrive. But the legend didn't just come out of nowhere. The truth is, alligators have been found in bizarre places, including sewers. The most famous case, which probably cemented the legend, happened in February 1935. A group of teenagers in New York's Harlem neighborhood were clearing snow from a storm drain when they saw something moving down there. It was an alligator. They lassoed it and dragged it out. The animal was nearly 8 feet long and very angry. The New York Times picked up the story and it became a sensation. The sewer superintendent at the time, Teddy May, confirmed that his crews found a few alligators a year. They were always abandoned pets that managed to survive for a while. So, there are no monsters in the sewers. But the real, documented possibility of finding a real alligator where it shouldn't be was enough for the popular imagination to create a much bigger, scarier story. The kidney theft, the modern legend, and collective anxiety. A businessman, let's call him David, is in a strange city for a conference. Alone in the hotel bar, a stunning woman approaches and offers him a drink. They talk, laugh, and she offers him another. The next thing David remembers is waking up, his head pounding, in a bathtub filled with ice cubes. He is cold and confused. On the tiled wall in front of him, a note written in red lipstick reads, "Do not move. Call 911. His cell phone is next to the tub. Trembling, he picks it up and sees a long, fresh stitch in his lower back. He calls 911, and the operator, listening to his story, says with eerie calm, "Sir, please lie down on your back in the tub and don't move. We've sent a team. There is an organ-snatching ring operating in this city. You've probably been a victim of them. They took your kidney. You can relax and enjoy your drink." Of all the legends, this one has the weakest connection to reality. In fact, it is 100% false. There is not a single proven case of anyone being kidnapped and having their kidneys stolen in this way. Why is this story not true? Because it is medically impossible. Surgery to remove a kidney, a nephrectomy, is a super complex procedure. It requires a team of surgeons, anesthesiologists, a completely sterile environment, and hours of work. Doing it in a hotel bathroom? No way. Plus, for a transplant, the organ needs to be compatible with the recipient, which requires complex tests. You can't just steal a kidney and sell it to anyone. So why is this story so popular? Because it taps into very modern and deep-seated fears. The fear of traveling alone, the distrust of strangers, the fear of having your body violated, and the anxiety about the black market and the dark side of medicine. It's a perfect cautionary tale for our globalized age, a frightening fable that reminds us to be cautious, even if the danger it describes isn't real. So fascinating, isn't it? The next time you hear a spine-chilling urban legend, remember, maybe, just maybe, it started with a spooky slice of real life, and that's how, reality dissolves into whispers. From a faceless killer who terrorized an entire city to a bizarrely real rabbit man. The stories we tell in the dark were often born under the light of a terrible fact. The line that separates what is a scary tale and what is a forgotten memory of a crime is much, much thinner than we imagine. It makes you think, doesn't it? That story they tell on your street, The legend of your city that everyone swears is a lie, Is it really true? If you are also obsessed with finding the truth behind fear, subscribe to the channel now, because our list of mysteries to investigate is just beginning. Activate the bell so you don't miss the next dive into the unknown. And answer me in the comments, of all these stories, which truth shocked you the most? And which legend from your city do you want us to investigate? Who knows? It might not appear here,